Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. We are here to discuss how to overcome anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. And in this lesson, I'm going to talk about what we can do externally to help us out. My name is Joe. I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who has overcome this particular disorder and can speak from personal experience and have great conviction, at least from what I say, at least for me, it totally works. So I hope you stick around to the end of this video. But the first thing I want to talk about is that if we are wanting to go through this and get over this, you should actually be really proud of yourself. You should feel good just by the mere fact that you're watching a video, reading materials, and reaching out to try to overcome this. So feel good that already you're on the right move, right step, however you want to call it. But what do I mean by externally? Let's talk about lesson number 2 here, externally. Well, I think that to overcome anxiety, depression, and panic attacks, a lot of it requires deep, really understanding of what's really bothering us. Is there trauma? Did something happen in the past over time, growing up? There's all sorts of ways, and I can get through that in other videos. Because that kind of takes time. But for the purpose of this video, I think there's quite a few things right at our fingertips that we can do for ourselves that are really helpful, that I didn't realize, and it just took me some stubbornness, or I wanted to take a magic pill and for it to all go away. Which, by the way, you can take medication. I just highly recommend that you just don't stay on it if you don't have to. There's all sorts of problems that come through that. You kind of mask the situation. But let's get right to it. If we want to kind of calm ourselves down and we don't have a lot of resources per se, in other words, we're not going to see a doctor and we're not in treatment yet, we're not in medication, one of the first things that you can do for yourself is actually wake up in the morning and meditate. Get yourself in a really deep, relaxing state. And it does take work. For me, I remember going to yoga, and I'm like, man, I can't even calm down to even sit here. But it takes practice. And so just just again, like I said earlier, just by actually taking action is actually good for your psychological being at the time and when you're going through it. I guarantee that for sure. But one way to meditate is to inhale through your nose. So you go, and you exhale with your mouth. And let it all out. And do that a few times. I would say at minimum 5, maybe 5 to 10 times. And do that prior to your meditation. And is what I call breathing exercises. So you can kind of get your body in a good state of relaxation, because in our mind, in our head, physiologically, the more oxygen we have in our head or in our brain, however you want to call it, the better we feel. Our thoughts are a little clearer, and as a result, we could have relaxation. So I guess that's number 2. Those are 2 things here. Let's meditate and have your breathing exercises. The next thing I wanted to say is that if you are going through a anxiety, panic attack, or depression phase or season, however you want to call it, I would stay away from caffeine. Stay away from caffeine, because anything that can be a stimulant actually kind of can pull up a trigger. And what's weird about that is, like, sometimes you don't even put the 2 and 2 together. I remember one time I was in the movies and I was watching some exciting film, and I was drinking a diet soda and had popcorn, and I started having like a panic sort of state, or I started getting high anxiety. And it was because not only was the movie I was watching kind of tense, but I was drinking caffeine, and it took me a while to put that 2 together. But that really kind of was a big of an eye opener for me to stay away from caffeine. Instead, maybe you don't want to do this in the movies, or set a time for this. Drink decaf tea. Now, there's lots of teas out there that are calming, sleepy time, chamomile, but there are other teas out there that aren't doesn't make you sleepy. But that are calming. So instead of Diet Coke or caffeine drinks, I would stock up on tea, decaf tea that are calming. Really works. Here's the other thing. Exercise. why, the science tells us that when our endorphins, are really in the right place as a result of exercise, it's really calming. It puts us in a really, really good mental state. For whatever reason, a lot of us stay away from the exercise part, maybe because of the pain that we go through while we're exercising. So exercise has to be a part of your external program that you can do for yourself to calm yourself down. Here's the thing though. You can also overdo it. I remember like exercising really, really, really hard, thinking I was doing like a really cool thing. Hey, I'm exercising, I'm doing really, really, really good here. And the fact that I had to recover and I didn't have enough nutrients in my body, it almost made the situation a little worse. Which leads me to my next point. Eat well. I wouldn't overeat. I wouldn't grab a bag of potato chips unless it's sort of like your last resort, or you want to treat yourself for one day out of the week. Try to eat as healthy as you can. Now, if you aren't a chef or a connoisseur of food or whatever, I think a simple way of getting through this little step, or trying to make this a part of your routine, is just eat smaller meals. So if you're going to eat a burger and fries and a soda, hopefully it's decaf, if you're going to eat all of that, then I would just eat the burger, right? Or just eat the fries later. I would eat smaller meals, and there's enough information out there that says like 6 small meals a day are preferred, right? So 6 smaller meals. So don't overeat. That within itself causes your body to work. It causes your body to digest. And so it can be really hard on you and causing you stress in the long run. Another one, speaking about diet and eating or frequency, I would not eat past 7 o'clock. Eating disturbs our sleep, especially if we're eating too close to bedtime, like 9 or 10 o'clock. I remember especially when I was younger, I would just eat anything. I'd pour Tabasco sauce. I'd have chips and dip with really, the hot dip, all kinds of stuff. And it would just give me heartburn in the middle of the night. I would have a horrible sleep. I would have horrible sleep, and then I'd have a horrible day. One way, again, to have good sleep is to not eat past 7 o'clock. And then what you're eating prior to 7 o'clock, you need to kind of probably choose your meals the healthiest as you possibly can. And if you can't do 7 o'clock, because sometimes we'll get really, really hungry, and that'll keep us up, I think you can go till 8 p.m. So don't eat past 8. I think your goal should be past 7. I knew one guy who was a bodybuilder, and he wouldn't eat past 6. I would just be really, really starving. So that leads to second to my last point, and that is sleep. We want to get the best sleep we possibly can. In anxiety, depression, and panic attack type phases that we go through in life, there's a lot of people that go through this. You're not the only one. Sleep is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves to give us the strength and the energy to, again, externally in a lot of ways, fight this off, to start taking control or start taking ourselves to a place where we can start managing things and then start working on internally, what is really bothering us. So do not eat past 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tops. And I think you'll be on your way to having a good sleep. Last thing, a lot of people kind of find this a little silly, but if you can, find a way where you can make yourself laugh and humor. There's another scientific, there's scientific evidence out there to tell us that when we laugh, there's something chemical that goes on in our brain that's really, really helpful for our psychological state. Isn't that cool? We just find ourselves a way to laugh. For me, I found my way, at one time I found myself laughing when I was in a support group. Actually, this was recovery. I think it was a 12-step program. Someone told a story. We all busted out laughing. And I remember laughing, and I remember thinking I had not laughed like that in a very, very long time. So that to me, and over time, the more I laughed, the more I got out of myself, the better I can help myself through this anxiety state. So what are we saying here in summary? Well, we want you, to the best of your ability, wake up in the morning and meditate. And throughout your meditation, have breathing exercises. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Exercise if you possibly can, if you can, and don't overdo it. If you have to eat, we all have to eat. Keep your meals small. If you can't go on a fancy diet, to 6 small meals a day. And if we're going to eat in the evening, we want to make sure that we don't eat past 7 o'clock, maybe max 8. And hopefully, to my next point after that is we get good sleep, and finally find a place to laugh. Now, I want you to join me on this journey. There should be a link below that you can have free resources. I want you to comment on how I can explain something. If you have a question or a comment, let me know, and I'd like to maybe cover it in a future video, or I'll get back to you on questions. But the most important thing you can do for our journey together is follow me, hit the subscribe button, the notification button off to the top right, and hit like. And that would really, really go a long way for us to help others who have this condition, and hopefully together, all of us will help each other get over this phase that we're going through, that is panic attacks, depression, and high anxiety. We want to get rid of it all. So I hope to see you next time. Join me, and look forward to working with you.